The galaxy had watched humans for centuries, quietly, with a mix of curiosity and contempt. Most of its civilization saw Earth as a small, weak, and insignificant planet, a place of chaos and conflict, barely worthy of notice. But the Council of Worlds, the ruling body of thousands of advanced species, decided it was time to act. They sent a message that would change everything. Humanity must surrender all its colonies, hand over its starships, and obey the Council's laws, or face total destruction. On Earth, in the towering capital of New Washington, the message arrived on every screen at once. People froze, staring at words that seemed impossibly cruel. President Elena Torres stood in her office, staring at the glowing text. Her heart did not tremble. Her voice was calm, though her eyes burned with determination. They think we are weak. They think we will kneel. They are wrong, she said quietly, almost to herself. Around her, advisors whispered, trying to grasp the full meaning of the ultimatum, but Torres had already made her choice. She knew the galaxy had misjudged humans for centuries. They had survived floods, famines, plagues, and wars that had wiped out civilizations before. They had learned, adapted, and grown stronger every time. Humanity's strength was not in their size, their weapons, or even their technology. It was in their spirit, their refusal to give up no matter the odds. The president called an emergency assembly of Earth's leaders. Televisions, holoscreens, and broadcasts carried her words to every corner of the planet. "We will not bow. We will not surrender," she declared, her voice steady and firm. "Humanity has faced extinction before, and we have risen from the ashes stronger than ever. This is not a threat we will ignore. The galaxy wants to see us fall. Instead, they will see what humans are capable of." Across the stars, the Council's envoys laughed. They looked down upon the blue and green planet, thinking it tiny, defenseless, and primitive. "A species that cannot even defend itself against local pirates dares to threaten us," one envoy said, shaking his many heads in amusement. "They will break easily. There is no way they can withstand even a fraction of our fleets." But the humans were already moving. In shipyards on the moon, engineers tightened bolts and recalibrated engines. In secret bases across the asteroid belt, fleets were armed and crewed. Civilians were trained, soldiers were prepared, and scientists worked tirelessly to improve weapons and defenses. Humanity's mobilization was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. It was not born of arrogance. It was born of survival, determination, and love for their home. Children looked up at the stars, wide-eyed, imagining battles above their cities. Elders told stories of human history, of how their ancestors had survived impossible odds. Everyone, everywhere, felt a part of this moment, the moment when humanity would no longer be underestimated. Even as the Council assumed humans were scared, Earth stood united, not under one government, one army, or one ideology, but under one idea: freedom, survival, and pride. Humans were small in the eyes of the galaxy, but their hearts were vast, unyielding, and full of fire. President Torres walked to a window overlooking the city. Lights blinked below like a reflection of the stars above. She whispered, "Let them come. Let them see. They will learn the price of underestimating us." And so, while the galaxy underestimated them, humans prepared for the storm to come. They did not prepare for conquest. They prepared to fight for their homes, their families, and their right to exist. Earth refused to bow. Humanity had made a choice. The Council would soon learn that when humans fight, they do not yield. They endure, they adapt, and above all, they never surrender. The first sign of the galaxy's response came like a shadow across the stars. Weeks after the ultimatum, massive fleets of the Council entered the Sol system. Ships the size of moons blocked the orbits of Mars and Jupiter. Their weapons glowed with power capable of wiping out entire continents. On Earth, every citizen watched in fear and awe as the sky above their home grew crowded with the shapes of alien dreadnoughts. But humanity did not tremble. From hidden bases in the asteroid belt, Earth's fleet prepared to strike. The warships were smaller, fewer, and older than the Council's vessels, But every human aboard them carried something far more dangerous: courage, intelligence, and the will to protect their planet. Captain Rio Chen stood on the bridge of the Intrepid, his eyes fixed on the swirling mass of enemy ships. He felt a mixture of fear and determination, the same combination that had driven humans to survive countless disasters on Earth. "They think their size matters," Rio said to his crew, his voice calm but fierce. "They have more firepower than us, more shields than us, more soldiers than us. But they do not have what we have. They do not understand humans. They do not understand what it means to fight for home." The Intrepid and its small squadron moved like shadows, darting between asteroids and firing with deadly precision. Torpedoes ripped through the nearest dreadnought, shaking its massive frame. Another ship exploded in a ball of fire that reflected across the void, and for the first time the Council realized that humans were not defenseless. Across the galaxy, envoys whispered in disbelief. "Impossible. How can such a small species cause so much damage?" one muttered. "They are unpredictable, dangerous." The human strategy was not brute force. They fought smarter, faster, and with instinctive coordination. Pilots maneuvered through asteroid fields, using gravity, to accelerate their ships. Engineers rewired weapons mid-battle, turning captured Council technology against them. Soldiers carried out boarding operations on isolated vessels, striking quickly and vanishing before reinforcements could arrive. Every action was precise, purposeful, and terrifying to the Council. On Earth, civilians watched the news feeds with wide eyes. Children clutched their parents' hands. Soldiers' families prayed quietly. Yet, despite fear, there was pride, a fierce, unyielding pride, in knowing that humanity had struck back. Humanity had sent a clear message. They would not surrender and they would not be crushed. Even within the Council's ranks, fear began to spread. Admirals who had once dismissed humans as primitive now studied their tactics with unease. Ships that had been considered invincible were being crippled by vessels a fraction of their size. The psychological impact of human ingenuity was devastating. Back on the Intrepid, Rio's voice echoed through the ship. "Every ship, every crew, every human here is fighting for something greater than themselves. Remember that. This is more than a battle. This is a statement. The galaxy will learn that humans are not weak. Humans do not surrender. Humans endure." As the first clashes ended, the Council retreated to regroup, stunned by the losses they had suffered at the hands of a species they had deemed insignificant. Humanity had achieved something impossible. They had shown that courage, unity, and cleverness could overcome overwhelming odds. And though the sky above Earth still held the threat of countless enemy ships, the people below did not despair. They had seen their warriors fight with valor, precision, and determination. They had seen the first proof that the galaxy could not crush them so easily. Humanity had taken its first strike, and it had landed with the force of a hurricane. The war had begun, and the galaxy would soon learn a lesson it would never forget. Humans were not prey. Humans were fighters, and when humans fought for their home, they became a force that no power, no fleet, and no council could ever ignore. The victory of humanity's first strike had been sweet, but the taste of triumph was brief. The Council of Worlds, humiliated by the unexpected losses, regrouped with fury. Entire sectors of their fleets converged on the Sol system, their numbers staggering, their weapons primed for total destruction. They intended to crush Earth once and for all. From orbit, the Council's dreadnoughts unleashed storms of energy. Lasers sliced through the void, missiles rained down on Martian colonies, and massive gravity bombs threatened to tear apart entire asteroid bases. On Earth, alarms blared in every city. People ran to shelters, families huddled together, afraid of the annihilation that loomed above. Yet even in terror, humanity refused to break. Deep underground, engineer Naomi Patel directed a crew repairing a critical orbital relay. Sweat poured down her face, but her hands moved with precision, guided by countless hours of training. "Keep the reactors online. If the shields fail, millions die," she shouted over the roar of alarms. Her team worked tirelessly, each person aware that their lives were not just their own, they were part of a fight for humanity itself. Above them, human warships darted through debris and fire, striking with deadly efficiency. Though outnumbered, they used speed, strategy, and unpredictability to their advantage. Tiny fleets slipped between massive council ships, disabling engines, sabotaging weapon systems, and vanishing before the enemy could retaliate. The galaxy had expected humanity to crumble under pressure, but humans thrived when cornered. On the Council's flagship, Admiral Varkin roared in anger. These creatures, they do not fear death. They do not obey reason. How can such a primitive species resist our might? His genetically enhanced soldiers, bred for war, had fallen again and again to humans whose technology was decades behind theirs. The unpredictability of human thinking and their courage was like nothing he had ever encountered. Meanwhile, President Elena Torres addressed the world from a secure command center. Her image was broadcast across every screen on Earth. We will not kneel. We will not break. The Council believes we are weak, but they do not understand humans. Every strike they make only strengthens us. Every challenge we face binds us together. Humanity will endure, and we will prevail. Across cities and hidden bases, civilians contributed however they could. Children delivered supplies. Teachers organized shelters. Farmers grew food in underground fields. Every human in some way was a soldier in this war. Humanity's unity became a weapon as powerful as any torpedo or laser. Even as the Council bombarded Earth, human ingenuity turned the tide. New energy shields, improvised from captured technology and Earth's own innovation, absorbed attacks that would have destroyed entire cities. Damaged warships returned to battle faster than expected. Every setback was met with adaptation, every loss with renewed determination. Captain Rio Chen aboard the Intrepid watched explosions ripple across space. "They think fear will stop us," he said quietly to his crew. "But humans don't fight because we aren't afraid. We fight because we have to, for family, for home, for Earth." The battle raged for days, yet humanity's spirit remained unbroken. Each human action, whether on the front lines or in secret bunkers, sent a message across the galaxy. Earth would not fall. The Council could destroy fleets, bomb cities, or burn colonies, but they could not crush the heart of humanity. By the time the first wave of Council fleets retreated to regroup, they had learned a painful truth. Humans were not simple creatures to be conquered. They were survivors, warriors, and strategists. Every attack had been met with resistance, and every plan they had made had been challenged by human ingenuity. Above Earth, the skies still glimmered with the remnants of war. Smoke rose from cities, and debris floated in orbit. But Earth endured. Humanity had faced the fury of the galaxy and survived, and as people looked up at the stars, hope burned brighter than any laser, for they knew this war had only begun, and that humans, united and determined, would not yield. The fires of battle had shown the galaxy that humans were not weak. They had endured the first blows of the Council and struck back with cunning and courage. But Earth knew that survival would require more than scattered victories. Humanity had to unite. Nations set aside old rivalries. Armies, fleets, and scientists came together under one common purpose: to defend their home and prove that the smallest planet could defy the strongest empire in the galaxy. On Earth, massive shipyards buzzed with activity. Engineers worked day and night, repairing damaged warships, constructing new ones, and redesigning weapons with captured alien technology. Civilians joined the effort wherever they could. Children carried supplies, teenagers assisted with communications, and adults worked tirelessly in underground factories. Every person, in some way, became part of the fight. The unity of humanity had never been stronger. In orbit above Earth, Admiral Cale Morgan oversaw the largest fleet humanity had ever assembled. Hundreds of warships, all crafted and manned by humans, glimmered under the light of the sun. Crew members tightened harnesses, checked weapons, and prepared for the mission that would determine the fate of their world. "This is not just a fleet," Morgan said to his officers. This is humanity itself. Every person on these ships carries the hopes of billions. Fight with everything you have. Fight for Earth. Captain Rio Chen stood on the bridge of the Resolute, watching the formation of human warships stretching across space. His heart swelled with pride. For our families, he whispered. For our home. For humanity. The crew echoed the words quietly, but their hearts roared with the same determination. Humanity's first large-scale offensive targeted a sector of space controlled by the Council, a region considered nearly impenetrable. The humans moved with precision, striking in waves, using speed and strategy to outmaneuver larger, more powerful fleets. Tiny squadrons slipped through enemy lines, disabling weapons and shields, while larger ships drew fire away to protect the smaller, agile vessels. Every strike was calculated, every maneuver designed to maximize effect with minimal loss. The Council fleets, once confident in their superiority, faltered under the unexpected coordination. They had never faced a species capable of uniting so fully, of fighting not for conquest but for survival. Every loss they suffered shook them, and whispers of fear spread among their admirals. How can such a species move with this precision? They are organized, determined, terrifying, one officer admitted, trembling. On Earth, citizens watched the battle unfold through live feeds. They cheered every small victory, held their breath with every explosion, and prayed for the safety of the crews fighting in space. Humanity had discovered something extraordinary, that hope, unity, and courage could be as powerful as any weapon. President Elena Torres addressed the planet once again, her voice steady but filled with emotion. Look at what we have become. When we stand together, no force in the galaxy can crush us. This war is not just about survival. It is about proving that humanity will never bow. We fight not because we seek glory, but because we are alive, and we will protect our home. As the human offensive swept through the Council sector, enemy ships fell one by one. Entire fleets that had once laughed at humans now retreated, their formations in disarray. Humanity had sent a clear message. They would fight with every resource, every strategy, and every ounce of courage they possessed. They were no longer a single planet defending itself. They were an unstoppable force. And yet, even in victory, humans did not celebrate with arrogance. They regrouped, repaired, and prepared for the next challenge. They knew the Council would strike back, stronger and more determined. But humanity had discovered a truth no enemy could destroy. When humans unite, when they fight for home, family, and freedom, they become far greater than any starship, any weapon, or any empire. Above Earth, as fleets glimmered under the starlight, Admiral Morgan whispered to his officers, "This is only the beginning. The galaxy is about to learn the true meaning of human courage." And for the first time, humanity felt the intoxicating power of unity, the force that would carry them through the war ahead. The galaxy had expected humans to falter under pressure. The Council had prepared for weeks, reinforcing its command stations and deploying its most powerful fleets. But humanity had grown stronger with every battle, learning, adapting, and striking back with a cunning that no enemy could anticipate. Now it was time to take the fight directly to the heart of the enemy. A team of elite human pilots and soldiers gathered aboard the stealth ship Shadowhawk. Captain Rio Chen led them, his eyes sharp and steady. The mission was dangerous, impossibly. So, they were to infiltrate a massive Council command station, a fortress larger than Earth's moon, bristling with weapons and shielded by layers of energy barriers. If they failed, billions of humans would face destruction. But Rio knew one thing. Humans never gave up. "This is for Earth," he said to his team, voice low but firm. "Every ship, every soldier, every family on our planet is counting on us. Remember why we fight. Remember what we protect. Let's show them who we are." The team nodded, determination burning in their eyes. With precision, the Shadowhawk slipped past the outer defenses undetected by Council sensors. Inside the station, the air was tense. Every corridor held the potential for death. Every shadow could conceal an enemy. But humans moved with coordination, strategy, and courage. They planted explosives at key power nodes, sabotaged weapon systems, and hacked communication arrays to send false orders to Council fleets. The command station, once a symbol of unstoppable power, began to crumble from within. Alarms blared, but it was too late. The humans had already set the wheels of chaos in motion. Meanwhile, on the surface of the station, Rio and his boarding team confronted the Council's elite guards. They were faster, stronger, genetically enhanced, but humans were unpredictable. Using clever maneuvers, improvisation, and sheer will, the boarding team defeated the guards, clearing the way to the central control room. Each victory, small and precise, had enormous consequences. The Council's fleets, receiving false orders, began to collide and retreat in confusion. Inside the command room, Rio confronted Admiral Varkun, the feared tactician who had orchestrated humanity's near destruction. The two faced each other across a room filled with screens and blinking lights. Varkun sneered, "You are insignificant. You cannot possibly challenge me." Rio's gaze was steady. "You misjudged us. You thought we would break. You thought we would kneel. But humans fight for more than power. We fight for our home, for our families, for Earth. And that makes us unstoppable." The battle was swift but brutal. The human boarding team overwhelmed the Admiral's forces, and Varkun himself was captured. With his defeat, the command station lost all control over nearby Council fleets. Entire sections of enemy ships fell into chaos, unable to coordinate or defend themselves. In orbit above the station, human warships moved in, striking with precision. The Council fleets, confused and leaderless, were destroyed or forced to retreat. The galaxy watched in shock as humanity's audacious strike turned the tide of war. A species they had dismissed as weak had now crippled their most powerful command hub. Back on Earth, celebrations were muted but heartfelt. Families embraced, engineers and soldiers wiped sweat and grime from their faces, and children cheered at the news. Humanity had proven that courage, intelligence, and unity could overcome even the most formidable enemy. Captain Rio Chen looked out at the stars, the command station burning below him. "This is what humans do," he said quietly. "We do not surrender. We do not break. And when the galaxy thinks we are done, we rise stronger than ever." The Council had been shaken to its core. For the first time, its leaders realized that humanity was no ordinary species. Humans were clever, adaptable, fearless, and united. They had turned the tide of war, and the galaxy would never underestimate Earth again. And deep in the hearts of humans everywhere, a fierce truth burned brighter than ever. The fight was far from over, but humanity had shown the galaxy that it was a force no one could contain. The defeat of the Council's command station had sent shockwaves across the galaxy. What had once been whispers of human bravery now became undeniable fact. Humans were not to be underestimated. Entire sectors, long under the Council's control, began to question their allegiance. The small blue planet that everyone had laughed at was now shaping the course of galactic history. Back on Earth, President Elena Torres stood before a council of military leaders and scientists. Her face was calm, but her eyes burned with the weight of responsibility. "We have proven that we can fight," she said, "but the war is far from over. The Council will strike back, stronger and more determined than ever. Humanity must be ready. Every ship, every soldier, every citizen will play a part in what comes next." In the outer colonies, humans had become legends. Stories of daring, pilots slipping through massive enemy fleets, of engineers disabling Council weapons from within, and of ordinary civilians aiding the war effort spread like wildfire. Across worlds, humans inspired hope, and for the first time other species began to wonder, could humans be allies rather than enemies? The Council, humiliated and fearful, struggled to regain control. Fleets that had once marched with certainty now hesitated, unsure of their strategies. Leaders who had dismissed Earth as insignificant now debated frantically, trying to understand the humans' strength. "They are unlike any species we have faced," one admiral admitted, voice shaking. "They are fearless, resourceful, united, and utterly relentless." But humanity did not stop. While the council deliberated, humans continued their strikes. Fleets moved with precision, cutting off supply lines, disabling key installations, and liberating planets that had been enslaved by the council. Yet even in victory, humans did not conquer. They fought to protect life, not to rule it. Every action was measured, every battle fought with strategy and restraint. The galaxy began to see a new kind of power, one built not on domination, but on courage, intelligence, and justice. Captain Rio Chen led another offensive, this time targeting a heavily fortified council armada near the Vega sector. His crew had learned from every encounter, their coordination flawless. "Remember why we fight," he said. "Every life on Earth, every person depending on us, every colony relying on our strength. That is why we push forward. That is why we cannot fail." The battle was fierce. Missiles lit up space, lasers cut through the void, and explosions shook the very fabric of the battlefield. Yet humans adapted at every turn. They used their enemies' technology against them, set traps that even the most advanced council fleets could not predict, and leveraged the chaos to strike with precision. By the end of the day, the council's armada was shattered, retreating in disarray. News of humanity's victories spread quickly. Species that had once mocked humans now treated them with caution and, in some cases, respect. Alliances began to form quietly. Some civilizations oppressed by the council reached out to Earth for aid, sensing that the blue planet could protect them. Humans had become a beacon, not of conquest but of hope. President Torres addressed the galaxy through encrypted channels, her voice strong and unwavering. "We did not start this war. We fight because we must. We fight because our home, our families, and our freedom are threatened. But know this: humanity will not bow. Humanity will not break. And anyone who continues aggression will face the cost of underestimating us." For the first time, the galaxy truly reconsidered its view of Earth. The species it had dismissed as weak had become a force capable of challenging empires, reshaping alliances, and inspiring hope across countless worlds. Humanity's legend was growing, and the Council's fear was spreading. And on Earth, as families looked up at the stars, they understood something profound. Their fight was far from over, but humans had proven a simple, undeniable truth. No matter how small or underestimated, when humans stood together, when they fought for life, home, and freedom, they became unstoppable. The galaxy would soon learn that lesson in full. The final battle had come. Humanity's fleets, strengthened by countless victories and bound together by unity, advanced toward the Council's capital sector. Millions of ships, from small strike crafts to massive warships, glimmered under starlight. Each crew member carried the weight of Earth on their shoulders and the resolve of billions of humans across countless worlds. President Elena Torres addressed the fleets through secure channels. Her voice was calm, commanding, and filled with quiet fire. "Today, we fight not for conquest, not for glory, but for the right to exist. The Council tried to destroy us, to bend us to their will. They underestimated our courage, our intelligence, and our unity. Today we end their tyranny over the galaxy. Fight with honor, fight with determination, and remember why we endure. For Earth, for humanity." Captain Rio Chen stood on the bridge of the Resolute, gazing at the vast enemy armada before him. "This is it," he said to his crew, eyes sharp and unwavering. "Every life on Earth, every colony, every family is counting on us. We fight for them, and we fight for the truth, that humans never surrender." The battle erupted like a storm across space. Lasers sliced through the darkness. Explosions lit the void, and the Council's massive ships, once symbols of unstoppable power, faltered under humanity's assault. Humans fought with precision and strategy, striking where the enemy was weakest, exploiting every mistake and adapting to every new threat. Small human strike teams infiltrated enemy vessels, disabling weapons and engines from the inside. Pilots maneuvered through the chaos with uncanny skill, avoiding destruction while delivering crippling blows. Engineers worked relentlessly, keeping ships alive, repairing damage, and rerouting power to critical systems. Every person, from the youngest recruit to the most seasoned admiral, was part of a symphony of war, a force greater than the sum of its parts. The Council's leaders, once confident, were thrown into panic. Their fleets collided, their weapons misfired, and chaos spread through their armadas. They had underestimated humanity at every turn, and now, faced with the full force of Earth's determination, they understood the terrible truth. Humans were unstoppable when defending what they loved. On board the Resolute, Rio saw the Council flagship crippled, smoke trailing from its engines. He gritted his teeth and whispered, "For Earth, for humanity." The crew cheered, their voices carrying across the comms to every Allied ship. The morale of the human fleet surged. They were not just fighting, they were inspiring hope, fear, and awe across the galaxy. As the Council fleets began to collapse, President Torres addressed the galaxy once more. Her voice echoed in every sector. "We do not fight for domination. We fight for life, for freedom, for our home. Let this be known. Humanity will never bow. Humanity will never break. And anyone who threatens Earth will face the cost of underestimating us." The final strike was swift and decisive. Human warships, coordinated with flawless precision, tore through the remaining Council forces. Planets under occupation were liberated. Entire sectors once ruled by fear now looked to Earth with respect, relief, and awe. The galaxy had witnessed the rise of a species that refused to be controlled, a species that had fought not for power, but for survival and justice. As the battle ended, silence fell across space. Human ships drifted among the remnants of the Council armadas, and Earth's defenders allowed themselves a moment to breathe. They had endured the impossible, faced the strongest power in the galaxy, and emerged victorious. On Earth, people looked up at the stars and felt a pride deeper than any they had ever known. Humanity had proven a truth no one could deny. When humans fight for home, for family, for life itself, they become a force that no empire can control. President Torres stood before a cheering assembly. Her voice was steady, yet filled with emotion. "The galaxy has learned a lesson today. Humans do not surrender, we do not break, and we never forget. Earth stands free, and humanity will endure." And so, from the ashes of fear and the fires of war, humanity rose triumphant. The blue and green planet, once considered small and weak, had declared total war, and the galaxy had learned true respect, and perhaps even fear, for the indomitable spirit of humans. Earth would never bow. Humanity would never surrender. And the galaxy would never forget the day humans declared total war and won.